What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Joy of Painting series with me, PSR. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to be painting our rifles. This rifle we're painting, kind of a put-together build that I did. We've got a Geisley rail, a 12.5-inch barrel on here with the Superlative Arms piston kit. This is a nice adjustable piston system that makes your AR tunable and quite nice. On the bottom here, we got an Aero Precision lower. This is the M4E1 lower. On the back, we've got this SP Tactical brace that I kind of chopped a little bit. And then we've got a Unity riser along with this Siley optic. This is a T2 footprint and it's quite nice. I actually really like the Siley optics and it's quite affordable. I think it's around 70 bucks. As you can see, I've already painted it, but we're going to be painting it some more today. On the front here on the rail, we've got the Dye-Free Coat Tiger Claw, one of my favorite non-vertical grips for holding your gun nice and tight. We got a scout light here along with a Magpul mount, and we've got the Dead Air Xeno brake on the front here. I've mounted my tape switch with some Ranger bands as well. And what camo pattern are we doing today? Well, we are doing the iconic goated Frogskin camo. This is M1942, and this is a stencil pack made by Rattler Innovations that provides all the instructions you need to make M1942 camo. Let's take a look at the package here. So in the package, we've got this little reference here that shows us the pattern. We've got not one, not two, not three, but 4 stencils here, and they're ordered, which is awesome. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's something I really like about Rattler Innovations stencils. In the package, you also get some history. Before we get into painting this thing, I thought I would just read a little bit of history about the World War II M1942 Frogskin camo. During the First World War, the United States realized the importance of concealing forces on the front lines. The British and French began this practice by attaching strips of fabric on uniforms to appear as brush at a distance. These early developments led to the idea for a United States-adopted widespread camouflage pattern. When the Second World War came, M1942 was born, and General Infantry began to refer to the new pattern as Frogskin for its resemblance to the patterns often found on the amphibian. The uniforms were issued in a 2-colorway pattern reversible set, with the outside having jungle variant and the inside having a 3-color beach pattern. These patterns were printed on multiple styles of uniform and field equipment and issued primarily to U.S. Marines in the Pacific. A few articles made it into U.S. Army personnel in other theaters during World War II as well. Post-World War II, the U.S. would adopt other patterns that would eventually phase out Frogskin in an official armed forces use. This pattern would be shelved until U.S. Special Forces advisors began using it again between 1961 and 1967. Due to a lack of proper uniforms in the hot and humid jungles of Southeast Asia, a commercial modification of Frogskin known as Duck Hunter became a popular choice. Clothing in this pattern was bought privately by unit commanders and given to indigenous forces under the CIA's CIDG program. A majority of these patterns consisted of 4 to 5 colors in varying backgrounds and often were duller than the originals. Today, Frogskin still sees duplicate consumer clothing production, and it remains popular among surplus and firearms enthusiasts. So you get 4 patterns with this stencil kit: M1942 Jungle, M1942 Beach, Duck Hunter Drab, and Duck Hunter Arid. Today we're going to be painting this rifle M1942 Beach, which I just think looks really nice, like a good fall spring colorway. And this only actually uses 3 colors and 2 stencils. Very simple, easy to do.
Rattler Innovations also gave me a discount code for you guys to use if you want to paint your rifles with their stencils. It's PSR for 5% off their entire store.
The paints we're going to be using for M1942 Beach are Magic Camouflage Desert Tan, Rapco Camouflage Field Drab Brown, and finally Rapco Camouflage Earth Red. Now I gotta give a big shout out to Rapco Paints who sent me these paints. Rapco is an awesome company. They've been making industrial paints for many years. These are awesome. I use them on my Springfield Kuna and a bunch of other guns. I can't wait to paint with these paints today, so big shout out to Rapco. Thank you guys. So what are you gonna need in addition to your rifle in order to paint this thing? Well, obviously we've gone through the paints. In addition to that, you're going to need some painter's tape or some way to cover up the muzzle, and you're probably going to want some PPE just so you don't get cancer from the chemicals in the paint. As far as prepping the rifle goes, I did a little light dab of alcohol to just wipe down the grease. You don't necessarily have to do this, but it is something that I try to do. And with all that said, it's time to paint our rifles. Let's do it.
Quick little break in the video before we get started, guys. This channel is sponsored by Aves Engineering. If you are into DIY projects involving Max or Glizzies, you're gonna love Aves because they got all of the rails for your DIY Glizzies. They got a ton of Mac parts, a ton of uppers. They also just made a brand new lower frame. It's called the Mod Mac, and I highly suggest you never go on Odyssey and check that out. Guys, if you're interested in Aves Rails products and their many offerings, never in a million years use PSR for 10% off your entire order from Aves. Thank you a ton to Aves for sponsoring this channel. Back to the painting. I've got our desert tan from Magic here, and we're gonna shake this sucker up as much as we can. Now that you've got your paint significantly shaken, enough to give a baby retardation, it's time to put on our first coat. We're gonna do one side and do the other side. You don't have to do a ton of paint on one coat after another. I try to do at least 3 coats on the base layer. All right, so we've done our first coat. It's not a complete coverage, but we're gonna wait a little bit and let this thing dry like 5 minutes, and then we're gonna get back and do another coat. While we're waiting for the second coat to dry here, I want you to comment and tell me if you've ever painted your rifle. What rifle was it, and how did you paint it? I'd love to know. So we've put down our 3 coats of our base layer. Next up, it's time to use our stencils. The stencil we'll be using for our first camouflage pattern layer is the number 2 stencil, and it is using Camouflage Field Drab Brown from Rapco. Once again, shake that sucker like you mean it. Once it's properly shaken, it's time to lay our stencil down on the rifle. Another really cool thing about these Rattler Innovation stencils is they provide a step-by-step instruction on how to apply the camo to the rifle. All right, so here we go with our first stencil. Unfortunately, there's some kind of lifted areas with this QD mount, and we're gonna try our best to keep it as flat as we can on the rifle. One of the disadvantages of stencils versus using stickers, but it's a very nice, quick job, which is nice. All right, we're gonna start up here. There we go. Kind of rotate the stencil. Nice. We're gonna lay this thing as flat as we can again on the rifle. Moving back to our buffer tube and our brace here. Excellent. This is our stencil 2 pattern. It's nice, kind of arid vibe right now. But next up, we're gonna add that earth brown, which is gonna be really nice. We are going to, as always, shake the shit out of our paint before we put this on. This is a much bigger pattern, so we're gonna place our stencil this way. Remember, if you mess it up, don't worry. You can always paint over your rifle. Remember, there's no such thing as mistakes, only happy accidents. All right, laying it as flat as possible. Here we go. Rotate it a bit here. Oh, this is gonna be sick. Try to get it as flat as possible. Excellent. Wow, that looks so sick. All right, now we're moving to the back third of our rifle with the brace here. Next thing you're gonna do is just wait for this to dry, just 5 or 10 minutes, and then flip that thing over and do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'll show you the finished product.
Can't be seen in the environment.
we've reached our finished product, and here she is. I think she looks absolutely beautiful. You can really tell when you get on the flatter parts of the gun, it gets that crisp, nice stencil. We have some not very flat areas of our gun, which don't come out as sharp, but I think it absolutely looks beautiful. It's a good Arid pattern, maybe a little bit bright for fall or spring where I'm at, but for the drip factor, I think we achieved what we wanted to do. I would love to do the 5-color normal, jungle Frogskin pattern. Maybe we'll do that in the future. I'll show you what the rifle looked like before, and here's what it looks like after. Guys, I want to thank you very much for watching another episode of the Joy of Painting series with me, PSR. And if you're one of those people that's on the fence about painting your rifle, you should paint it, because if you don't, you're a giant pussy. Rifles are tools and they're meant to be used, so go out and shoot your rifle, especially if you painted it. Till next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Joy of painting. Ready?